Welcome to Toffee TV. It is live at 5 on a very warm day. Very warm outside. Me and Ned, Ped is off filming somewhere, so we will be taking you through for the next hour or so. It's just Paul Joyce has just confirmed the news that obviously has been bouncing around for a good 24 hours now, that Dominic Calvert-Lewin is injured. He's going to miss at least a month of the season with a knee injury, ahead of Everton's obviously Premier League open at the weekend. Me and Ped discussed a little bit on at dinner time, but it's a big blow, isn't it, to lose our striker?
It was always going to happen at one point. It's just a shame that it's happened so early and the season hasn't even started yet. And we've been talking about how some of the players that have come in and how he improved over the pre-season friendly games, that it gives you a bit of optimism. Not that we're going to go into the season and be amazing and win anything, or get a top 6 finish or anything, but it gives you optimism that we're building and we're getting better and we're starting to head in the right direction. But that's I've said before, we'd lost our top scorer last season. Obviously, Dominic Calvert-Lewin being injured was a big reason why we had such a poor season. And you lose your top scorer, and we've not really replaced him with guaranteed. You can't guarantee goals, but you're not replacing him with someone who's got a track record of scoring goals. You know what I mean? Or like someone who gets double figures regularly, like Richarlison did. So you lose someone who you're relying goals on. And now we've got like taken a bit of risk bringing in McNeil. I don't know where they brought him in to score goals, but he's going to have to score some now, isn't he? Dele's going to have to score some goals. Gordon needs to score some goals, because ultimately, if people don't start scoring more than usual than what they normally do, or what the track record says they do, then we're going to really struggle, especially without Dominic Calvert-Lewin, because who else scores goals like he does and what Richarlison does?
Yeah, it's obviously a hammer blow for Frank Lampard. They're trying to make what little cash they've got spread, and that's difficult as it is in this day and age. It's difficult. It's difficult in a Premier League where clubs are spending money hand over fist like they are, and you're trying to not only improve because you've had such a poor season last season, you're trying to catch up now. Okay, there was mitigating circumstances last season, which meant that things were magnified to the point where Everton were hanging on for the Premier League survival, and they did. I felt we'd be much better this season. I'm not saying that we'd be challenging for Europe, but we'd be much better than we were last season. But it's difficult because you're looking now, Richarlison's gone out the door. We knew that was coming. It was horrible. It's done. But we just haven't replaced those goals, and now we've lost the lad who could have replaced those goals, in my opinion, who's a real threat in the air. He's a handful, quick, strong. Has he got his faults? Absolutely, he's got his faults, but still the best striker we've got.
But if he didn't, he may already be at.
Well, of course. So, but we've lost him, and I think the worry for a lot of people, and rightly so, is that where do we, who's going to get these goals now? The odd game, yeah. Saturday might be one of those games where it's a midfield battle anyway, and someone's got to take the opportunity when it comes along. And Everton might still nick that game. Who knows? They could go the other way, of course, but Everton, they're generally quite tight at Goodison. You'd like to think this will be the same, and you'd like to think we'd have enough to, and they'd be just not on it. You know what I mean? The Chelsea click, obviously they could beat us comfortably, but someone could nick it. But it's not necessarily about this game on Saturday. It's the games that follow, and there's winnable games that follow, but you're gonna have to do it without one of your top goal scorers. It makes the job so much more difficult.
Well, from Saturday, a month later, you're looking at Dominic Calvert-Lewin being out for at least a month. That's 7 games, so that's 21 points. That's all. That's like more than half of what we got last season, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's a lot of points to play for. And Dominic Calvert-Lewin, he's past few seasons he has had injuries, and players will get injured, but you take the bad with the good, especially when you're in a position like we are the past couple of seasons. We're not a top club, not a top team certainly. So what we should have been doing anyway is, and I imagine we probably was, looking for a forward, looking for a backup, because our problem last season especially, we had so many injuries. And you'll always get injuries, and clubs always will. So, but our problem is, you lose a player, and it's who you replace him. And because our recruitment's not been great, we lost players like Decore, and you replace him with Delph. And that doesn't really help you in terms of like the style of play and stuff. And like this season, we've brought Vinagra in, so if we lose Mikalenko, we don't have to play a centre back there. We can play a wing back there and continue to play the way we're playing. That is if Mikalenko's the first team. I'm not saying that Vinagra will be back up, but you never know. But with Dominic Calvert-Lewin now, you lose him. Rondon's out suspended, and Rondon I don't think is up for doing scoring the goals that Dominic Calvert-Lewin does in the season anyway. But you have to put Delhi in there. Delhi play the same type of football. So we might mix it up anyway, because depending on the team we're playing, Chelsea like to have a lot of the ball, like to play high up the pitch. We might someone a bit more pace at the front so we can get in behind and get on the counter attack. But I still think obviously Dom would be playing regardless. So it's
a blow.
Yeah, I imagine Everton have got to hurry up and get another forward and get somebody who can score goals. Whether that's a loan or permanent, I'm not sure. I'd be looking at Brozier on a loan with a view to buy.
Well, I think they are trying to, but Chelsea, the powers with Chelsea and with the player, the player might think, well.
The only thing I'd say about him as well with Chelsea, they're obviously looking at signing players like they've been linked with Cucurella, they've been linked with Fofana. They've already spent quite a bit of money with players like Sterling and Koulibaly. So I imagine they'll be looking at trying to get some wages off the book, so we can maybe take Brozier off the hands, and that would be lovely. You never know though. You don't know if they want to keep hold of him or not.
We'll have to see. We've got Ahmed on the lines, our first caller, so let's get into it. Ahmed, are you there? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly. Yes. How are you, my friend?
Well, just I think as with Everton, there's everything going on and nothing going on.
Yeah.
So I think I think the first place is to carry on the conversation you guys were having.
Yeah.
Which is the state of the squad. I think before DCL was injured, I think functionality was the name of the game, and I think that's what all our signings were geared towards, almost to tide us over the next season or two, probably till as you guys have already mentioned, probably till the new stadium, sort out FFP, and then we can go big again. But it just will show whether we have a contingency plan in place. I'm actually not against the links with the likes of Batshuayi, because I think if you do have someone like Batshuayi as your second choice striker, you're not in a bad position. And I think he starts straight away, to be honest, in this current circumstance. But that was the main thing. I still think that we're not in a bad state as a squad in terms of functionality. We're certainly better than we are compared to last year, but we do need at least one attacker as a priority, if not two. The links with, I think there's a list. I wouldn't be surprised if they were just trying to leave it late and see if there was going to be a bargain to be had later on in the window. Because I think they've avoided the Zuma mistake, which is holding all your eggs in one basket. I think they've moved on pretty quickly from the likes of Onana, Gibbs White, who they knew they just weren't going to get, which is reassuring. But with this injury, obviously changes things completely. We need to get an attacker probably within the next 1 week or two. Maybe sacrifice Chelsea without a striker, but after that, we need to be getting points in August.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Saturdays, it's one of them with Chelsea. It's a tight game. Normally, if we were going to beat them, it'd have been probably by a single goal anyway.
Yeah,
that can still happen. It could happen off a corner. It could happen off a deflection. Whatever. So the game plan will probably still be similar. I think Delhi will probably do the role that Dom was going to do. It'll be different because he's not got Dom's aerial prowess, but he's nice and bright around the box on the ball. So who knows?
It'll be one of them where you'll just see him drop and then probably see Dwight McNeil and Gordon or Gray Webb starts just taking up the space in behind, much like Liverpool did with Bobby Firmino. Obviously, a very different level of play.
Yeah. Oh, you still there, Ahmed? Is he still there, Paige? He's still there. Can't hear you, Ahmed, if you press mute.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now, sorry, you lost you there. I lost you. It must have been because you mentioned the Liverpool striker. Our system weren't having it. Go on, yeah. But you're right, yeah, playing that kind of dropping in the hole and letting people run in behind, you mean?
I just wanted to ask you, what type of injury is it that DCL has supposedly had? Is it a bony injury or is it a muscular injury? I have no idea myself.
According to reports, it's a ligament injury, knee ligament injury. Not an ACL, but it's a knee ligament injury. Apparently, they're according to reports. So,
well, that'd probably be one of the collateral ligaments.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. So, is
it the lateral or the medial? Do you know?
Lateral. Someone said. I don't know. Is the answer? That's just. I'm not confirming anything.
But hey ho, that's where we're at now.
Hopefully he's back it sooner rather than later. That's the big thing.
Maybe Ahmed can perform surgery on him.
Maybe.
My brother could. My brother's he's an orthopedic surgeon, but I'm all about kidneys at the moment.
Right, okay. Yeah.
All right. Thanks a lot, lads.
All right, Ahmed, top man. Take care, mate. See you soon. Ta-ra, mate. Ta-ra.
Yeah, you mentioned Batshuayi there. What I would say about him.
You'd have him right now.
Yeah, beggars can't be choosers, but I imagine Everton would have had would be looking at strikers anyway.
I honestly thought when you went Strat, I thought you were going to mention Stratwell Hershey. Then I was going to go.
Get him back.
What?
The big Dennis.
Big Dennis.
Big brute. What they'd have the targets anyway. It'd be interesting to see whether, obviously, with this news coming out, is that whether they do start looking at these options a bit more, going, we need a striker now. These strikers we're looking at aren't really working out. There's these available on a free, Batshuayi. Some our Premier's members yesterday mentioned Belotti. I wouldn't be going here Belotti, but it'd be interesting to see if Everton start looking at options like that because we need a forward now. And obviously Ahmed was mentioning how we've been doing things a bit better and differently in this summer transfer window. What I would say, we've got more options, and like I said before, in terms of injuries, we've got players now. We've got more options in different areas, and that's the only thing with a striker. That's the only position where you feel like, well, we do need a backup, and hopefully they'll be looking at one. Obviously now we need one anyway. The good thing is, before obviously with this news came out about Dominic Calvert-Lewin, is me and Peb were sat having a debate over which front three you played. He said, I'd play McNeil on the right wing and maybe in there. And then I was saying other options, that's good. It's a good problem to have, isn't it? That we've got different options now, and obviously they're not like world class options, but like players that are first team this season have to keep fighting to stay in the first team. That's always good, isn't it? Especially so.
Definitely. Joel and Ken both saying apparently it's lateral. The lateral, and I've seen reports. As the club said, the club actually said,
just knee injury,
just knee, isn't it? So, but laterally. Just wish him a speedy recovery because we need him. We need him back fit. It is. Listen, I know people can say, he's injury prone or whatever, and he hadn't been really. But no one will be hurting more than the lad. The lad was ready to go, and he was looking ready for the season. And it's he talked about his mental health situation last season when he was injured. He'll be distraught, ready to kick off.
It's interesting how many people have said now he's injured that we should suddenly decide to sell him this summer.
We can only sell someone if someone bids. Everton haven't never received the bid for him, so it wasn't a decision that the club took. And I don't think they should have, even with the injury. I don't think they should have.
He wants to play, and obviously we've got a World Cup coming up this year, so he wants to be back firing goals. If he's out for a month or more than a month now, that's a big problem for him.
He's not making the World Cup, is he?
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
And how old is he now? 25.
25.
Yeah. By the time the next World Cup comes around,
he'd have to come back in first week in August. So if he's a quick healer, he might be back middle of October. If he's a fast healer, gives him a month. So he'd have to bang in. He'd have to score some goals to put himself in Gareth Southgate.
Like his start of the season.
Yeah, under Carlo, he'd have to go some. He'd have to get a couple of hat-tricks or something for I imagine, for Gareth Southgate to consider him for the World Cup. But you never know. Been done before. David France says, big if, but if we did have the Richie money available, what would you think of a front three of Dennis, Dembele and Cornet? 41 goals. I've seen him last season. We'll get them for less than 50 million.
I don't think that's
Everton haven't. Well, Everton wouldn't bring 3 more forward players in anyway, David.
Not without getting it.
Dembele's a shout, to be fair. He's in his last season at Lyon of his contract. He's 26. He's a player who Everton have had 2 opportunities to bring in before and haven't. But he's a big lad. Does know where the goal is.
Mobile as well.
He's quite mobile. I think he could do a decent. I think he could be a decent striker. I don't know how much Lyon would want for him. I don't know whether it's just too expensive for Everton, but he's a good age. Dennis is more of a wide forward. Got double figures last season. The first time in his career he's got double figures.
Played on Monday. It's interesting that obviously Dave.
I believe he was very, very good on Monday night.
Yeah. Well, he's a young João Pedro who scored. I was saying how it's good for João Pedro, isn't it? Getting time in the Championship now. He wasn't quite ready for the Premier League. But in terms of Dennis, interesting that no one else seems to have gone in for him. And there's reports, I said in the Daily yesterday, there's reports that Watford have slashed their price down to try and entertain some bids so they can get him out the door. 6 assists, 10 goals in the Premier League last season. And he's quite big, not massive. He's quite big. He's fast, mobile, scores goals, can play up front, can play on the wing. He's not too dissimilar from Richarlison, to be honest, in terms of like position plays and scores goals, creates chances. So interesting that no one else has got in for him.
It does make
he's only 24.
It does make you wonder why no one's touched him.
Yeah.
Doesn't it? Really.
Same with Cornet. Only a couple of teams going in for him, and he scored a lot of goals in only 20 odd games last season. Cornet, so
9 and 20 he got.
Yeah.
But that's
a bit
that's
an
20, outlier though for start 20 starts it was. That's an outlier for him. He's not really.
But he still played like when he was at Lyon. He still played sometimes centre forward and like as a wide.
He was a left wing back.
He played last season. He played left wing back.
Was your left wing back for Lyon?
But that role he played for Burnley, he played for Lyon as well.
We looked at him years ago when he was playing on the right for Lyon as a left winger, but
left-footed right.
Yeah, that one, that fella. Jack says Keenan Davis from Villa could be a shout on loan. He was boss in the Championship, 5 and 15. Isn't too dissimilar to DCL. Ahmed says, will you take Gibbs White now?
I don't know if they go back in.
I don't know. He's a good player, but he was too. Obviously, Everton decided he was too expensive when they went for him.
If Wolves decide to slash their price because no one's entertaining him.
Oh, they've said they want him part of their first team squad.
Yeah.
So, Ahmed says Dembele's worth 21 million. I do think Everton get him for 18. He's got a year left. Yeah, I don't think they're getting 20. Lyon aren't getting 20 million for him with the season left.
Yeah.
You might get him for like 15 million.
Take a gamble and get him next summer for free.
Ken says DCL isn't that prolific. Well, he has scored. Go and look at his goals. He has got like double figures.
Even last season.
21 goals. He got 18 and 15, didn't he, or something like that?
How many starts did he get last season? He played 70. I think was it 17 altogether.
I think he had
but not
11 starts, was it? Or
and he scored 5 goals. So in terms of ratio.
Dom isn't Kane. Of course, he's not Harry Kane. He's not Mo Salah. He's not the top level strikers. But he's a good Premier League striker who will get goals. I think if you give him chances.
Give him the service.
Yeah.
SP, we shouldn't have let Sims go on loan. Looks like a decent player. See, I've seen some people saying yesterday, well, this is why we should keep Dobbin in. This is why we should keep Sims. I think we're going to really make a massive difference. If Sims was in now, do you think Lampard would play Sims over Dele up front on Saturday? Because I don't think he would.
No, but he'd be on the bench.
Yeah, but for Sims sitting on the bench all season or going out playing with Sunderland, it might mean we have less of an option, but it's good for. You
can understand fans though saying, "Well, hang on, if we had Ellis Sims, he's 6'1" or something. He's a big, strong lad. If you had him to come off the bench with 15 minutes to go, it gives you the different option. You can understand.
And I'd prefer him coming off the bench than Rondon.
Of course.
So that's where I'm hoping
the
that
club have made a decision based on his development.
Yeah,
and they must have. We can sit here and fans can type on the keyboard or have opinions if there's phone up and speak to us and have their opinion about Ellis Sims. All we want. The club see him every day, and if those coaches have made a decision that they don't think he's good enough, or they don't think might not be good enough, they don't think he's ready, is more of the phrase. If they don't think he's ready yet for the Premier League, because there's no way if Frank Lampard and Joe Edwards and Paul Clement looked at him, Ashley Cole, and thought he's ready for our team, Not going to let him go out, are they? So
they took him to
there's a reason.
America as well,
Didn't give him a single minute, did they?
Play him,
so when I've seen Ellis, I think what I've seen of him, he doesn't do enough work off the ball. But he's a goal scorer. You give him a chance, he invariably hits the target and will score goals. So he's got to improve his work rate off the ball, and maybe that will happen at Sunderland. And then in 12 months next summer, Everton might look at him and go, actually, he's now an option for us as part of the squad, because he's got that work rate into his game. We know if we get him a chance, he's got a chance of scoring, and he gives us a different option. Where right now they obviously don't think he's ready.
So far, in terms of development and where he's been put, is he done League One, then went and done it in Scottish Premiership. And that's why I said before I went to Sunderland, Championship is the next place to go and do it, and they've sent him there. So let's see what happens.
Yeah. Phil says hello. Gary says howdy. Andy says, can we take Richarlison on loan from Spurs? That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Pay half his wages.
Yeah.
I never really liked him, to be honest.
Diver. Everton Vikings says the worry with waiting for Broja is that it's repeating a Giroud situation. That is a fear, isn't it? The London thing with Broja, I think, has been there right from the start of the pre-season. That pull of where he is, and you hang on in the hope that Everton have obviously they have had encouragement from both the player and from Chelsea, but without it, you know what you do. Even with that encouragement, you're hopeful then and think, we'll get him in a couple of weeks. This game's going to be flying by. People have mentioned it already. Ned mentioned it before. Ahmed mentioned it when he phoned in. Maybe the needle has to point now towards Batshuayi, and you go, well, he's going to play. I'd still personally have both of them. I'd take both of them and have Broja, Batshuayi, Dom, and then Rondon would just be a by the way. In fact, if it was up to me, I'd probably be looking for Rondon to move on.
Yeah, well, Broja's the one where you'd be looking.
But Broja's the one.
If you can get him on a permanent, you wouldn't just take him on loan with.
Everton aren't getting him on a permanent deal. I can tell you that now.
But if you can get him with a view to buy, then you'd be looking for him.
I don't think Chelsea let him out with a view to buy.
Think?
No.
See, I don't like this idea of developing other people's plays. But
I just want strikers, mate, who will help Everton.
If you're thinking short term,
I'm thinking very short term.
Then you take a loan.
Very short term.
And that's the sort of thing with Garner as well. I guess he's short term, but instead of thinking about we want young, hungry players, of course we do. But right now, to get away from, I don't think we're ever going down anyway.
Everton took a young striker with no view to a buy as a short-term thing that turned into a long-term thing with Romelu Lukaku.
Yeah.
Chelsea were adamant he wasn't getting sold. Adamant. Even when he went back, they were adamant at first. The lad forced it because he wanted to play. So you do it sometimes. What Everton would like to do is take Broja, bring him in, integrate him, the fans behind him. He does well and thinks, actually, this is a place I can develop. And then in a couple of years, if this club aren't where I want it to be, I'll move on. And that's exactly what Everton should be trying to do.
And Lukaku was an end of a window deal as well, wasn't it? Quite late on.
Well, Ron was literally 3 hours before the end of the window. The thing with then, and there was a lot of concern then, and I was one of the concerned because Aruna Kone was our striker, was 3 games had been played. It was after the 3rd game that the 3 games were played. We didn't win any of them. We didn't score in 2 of them.
Cardiff, West Brom,
and Norwich.
Yeah.
We didn't score in against West Brom or Home or Cardiff away. 0-0s, and we had Norwich on day 1, which was 2-2. And we got to the end of the window, and we brought 3 excellent. Norwich was 2-2. Barkley and Coleman.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We got to the end of the window, and we got those 3 players, and Gareth Barry, James McCarthy, and Romelu Lukaku, and it changed our season.
Problem now is we've got 6 games.
We've got 5 league games.
Yeah.
So it's a real difficult one, and we haven't. At least then we had Kone as a striker as much. Well, if you want to call him.
Well, he scored goals for Wigan, didn't he, Kone? He scored a few.
He done his knee, didn't he? Done a terrible knee injury forever.
I think how old was he? 28 when we signed. 29.
If he'd wouldn't have got injured, he might have been all right. But he done it. His knee injury ruined him. Anyway, that was the thing. If we had to wait. We don't want to wait, do we? Because it's tough if we wait and then they say no, and then you've let other players go, and you look back and go, we could have had him. it's a tough one. Phil says, lad, I wrote in on Monday saying I was going to see everything Everton in a positive light, but it's Wednesday and it's gone already. With the news of Dom, not so much because the injuries last season taught me we suffered them all the time, but it's the fact that as a club we haven't learned any lessons and are in the position we are in. The board are useless and a disgrace, but will not go anywhere. If you count when Rom, who we have brought into the club, who have we brought in to replace him? Nias, Sandro. It's absolutely shocking. £500 million, and Dom, who was here anyway, is the only real striker we have as a disgrace. Judge Mashiri ended the window. Bet you wish he'd never said that. Disaster, lads. Anyway, up the clueless Toffees.
I know it's hard because like we're not like a, you know, like a top 4 or top 5, 6 club. We just don't seem to be bringing in players with track records of scoring goals, and that can't be really overlooked. It's basic. You lose a player who scores double figures every season, then make sure you replace his goals. And
one thing I will say, and this is, I'm not really defending the club on this, but it's just it's a general recruitment thing, right? Is it's difficult to bring strikers in without paying money. Everybody wants centre forwards. West Ham have just paid 33 million for Samacher or whatever you say his name, who's done well in Italy. Is there any guarantee he'll do it here? No. Salt, remember going back part of early on in this Mashiri reign when we wanted Gabbiadini, Southampton brought him in. He scored 3 goals early on and never scored again. It's difficult to find lads who put the ball in the back of the net. It's why we were able to get 50+ million for the Richarlison. It's, you have to do your due diligence. You have to look, you'd have to have a framework, and you have to put players into that framework. What Everton have been guilty of. This is why Liverpool and Man City, when they buy players, generally them players fit into what they're doing, because they've got a way of playing and they look for players who fit into that way of playing, so that when you take Diogo Jota out of Wolves and everyone was like, yeah, he's alright, he drops into Liverpool and all of a sudden he's getting 20 odd goals a season. Okay, Everton wouldn't do that. Everton would get Diogo Jota in and bang the ball up to him and be going, why isn't he getting 25 goals? Or, you know what I mean? And that's where we've gone wrong, I think,
it's in like the
when
past. We brought Iwobi in and
exactly, we brought Iwobi in with no clue how to play.
Played him left wing.
And we've done that with other players, mate. We've done it with others. We've brought them in. It's not that they're not good footballers. It's you're just collecting things for no reason other than, oh, he looks alright, he might do alright in our team. Well, guess what? Footballers need a framework to play in, unless you're talking the very top level. Everton have I got asked on that overlap yesterday. I can't remember if it was on screen or whether it was in the bit we were just off camera, but talking about the Robinho transfer for Everton. Who was Everton's Robinho? And it was like, well, we nearly have one. Probably was Gylfi Sigurdsson. Did he make everyone go? Because when you might have been a bit young for Robinho, 2010. You'd have been 9. You wouldn't have been
when I was about 10.
Yeah, so you wouldn't have really right. But when they got him, a lot of people went, oh my God, because he was at Real Madrid and he was an up and coming player, but he was a big name, and Manchester United were linked with him and other clubs were linked with him, and they went to Real Madrid and got him. Now, if Real Madrid really wanted to keep him, they wouldn't have let him go. But as it was a big, like City had bought players and spent money. But he was the one that made everyone go, ooh. Because they'd had to go for Kaka and everyone was laughing at them, going as if you'd ever get into City. And as it happened, they probably would have done.
He was at Madrid as well at the time, wasn't he?
They ended up getting Yaya Toure, which was a huge one. They got him out of Barcelona. But when they got Robinho, everyone went, this was before Mansour actually, when they got Robinho. But when they got him, people went, oh, or was it the day? Sorry, it might have even been the day Mansour took over. It was a big sign. It was the day, I think.
2011,
right?
It?
So it was the day Mansour took over. They got him and everyone was like, wow, these mean business. And then it rolled then. They started getting other ones. Everton never did that. Everton spent money, but it was never a player, or certainly to my knowledge, it was never a player where other fans sat up and went, wow, how've Everton got him? Gylfi we spent a lot of money on, but we were bidding against ourselves. Leicester pulled out at 25. Leicester went, nah, he's not worth more than 25. We'll have James Maddison instead at 25. we carried on going to get him. But there was nobody where Everton got and people went, these mean business. And Everton have carried on in that vein. They've spent money, but with no plan. That we bought that season, we got Sigurdsson, we also bought Rooney in, we brought Klaassen in, we brought Vlasic in, we brought Sigurdsson in, all wanted to play in that role. All of them, 4 of them, for 70, 80 million quid, whatever it was, 45. Well, Gylfi was more like 40, but it ended up with that. Vlasic was 10, there's 50. Klaassen was 24, there's 74. Rooney was whatever it was, 5, whatever, he'll part the run. And that was just on one area of the pitch. And yet we didn't get a centre forward that we really needed. We had no real explosive pace that we brought in. So, and then from then on, we've just collected footballers. No one's ever gone, this is how we play, this is what we're going to do, and what do we need to go into that. I'm hoping that Lampard and Thelwell do that. But we're where we are now because of these mistakes here as well, and giving the money out. Big money, big wages. Whereas teams like Liverpool and Manchester City, look at what, even Brentford on a much lower scale, look at what they need. Conte's done it with Spurs. Conte's gone in, okay, world-class manager. Got some world-class players anyway. Harry Kane's son, fantastic. Right? But he'd gone in, got an idea of how he wants to play, run like lunatics, all spewing up in pre-season because they're running. But what he's gone and he's looked and gone, Richarlison never gives up. That kid never stops running, works hard, he'll do for us. So we can drop him in, knowing he's going to run around like a loony. Basuma midfield, big, powerful, runs everywhere, presses in your face. Yeah, we'll have him.
Look good next to him
And Højbjerg will be Jed Spence up and down all day long. Will never stop running. Go and get him. He's already brought Bentancur in because he's nice on the ball, but he's big and he likes to put foot in. He's got an idea of what they do. Arteta's done it with Arsenal. To a way of playing and stuff like that, and that's what Everton have got to do, and we've never done it. And it's why we're sat here now 3 days before the season with no centre forward against a team who was strong in Chelsea, Champions League team. But probably against the clock now to even get Garner in time for that. We've got till noon on Friday if he's signed for him to play, and then you're asking a big ask of him, dropping him into a team. But I'd rather give that gamble. Are we going to get a striker in before then? It looks unlikely, but you never know what happens. But we're here, and like loads of people have said in the comments, we're here without a centre forward. We've paid a lot of money, spent £500 million to get to a situation where we've got a 32-year-old striker that was brought in by the fellow we didn't want last summer, who's suspended anyway for this one, but he's not really going to he's not quick, he's not, prolific. And we've got our other centre forward who's now going to be out till probably October time. How are we in this situation? We've got about 9 lads who can play centre back. We've got a collection of midfield players. Whether people think they're good enough or not, a different argument.
They're a big collective of all different
The
types of
two
players.
areas where we couldn't afford to get an injury was the goalkeeper and the centre forward, and we've lost one of them. And that's why I imagine people are very upset and rightly so as well, and people are frustrated, and people are calling on the board, and people are calling on the way the club's run, because it just seems like every summer right now for the last few, there's always something going on that destabilises us totally.
I think the manager changes so frequently it didn't help either, because we've not really for a few years now we've not grown anything. Since Moyes, we've never had that years of stability where we've been able to grow and get what we need, and one player leaves and he's replaced, and you can naturally evolve your team. We've just been like you say, we've been collecting players. We've had director of footballers who didn't act like director of footballers because they didn't really direct us. We accommodated managers. Like when Allardyce came in, we got a manager we didn't really want, and we let him spend 20 million on Tosin, 20 million on Walcott. And then the next manager comes in and we've got the owner going after Zaha, or like Ancelotti comes in, he's going signing his players he wants. Marcel Brands wants other types of players. And hopefully now we've got Kevin Thelwell, who can, obviously Lampard will have his say and will be involved in signings as well, because you want to back your manager. But you need Thelwell needs to be massively have his say in, and if Lampard can work with the players he's given and the players he'll sign as well, it's up to him to prove himself as a manager. But if he can't, if he gets moved on, then Everton needs to be ready to be sustainable and can carry on with the players we've got. We can't just go, right, Lampard's gone now because we weren't good enough, we have to start again. We've got all these players he doesn't want, and that's been the case for years now. We've had managers leave and he's got this crap squad, a new manager coming in, he doesn't want him, let's just let him sign his players. It needs to be, that's why you have someone in place like Thelwell, and the people who've been there in that place in the past haven't really done it right, or were happy to just stay when it wasn't really going their way.
Yeah, a couple of people have rightly pointed out, Liam and Jay saying Ancelotti and James, sorry for trying to jump the gun there, were those kind of things. They were, but at the time we got them, we'd already made a mess of it, if you know what I mean. Whereas City it was different for City. I admit it was different for Manchester City. There was no FFP in place the way it is, so they could just keep spending and right the wrongs. They made errors, push that to the... And to be honest, if it was Mashiri, up to Farhad Mashiri, he would do the same now. He would still go like that to Frank Lampard. There's another 150 million.
Yeah, if that was the
go
case,
and try to put it right.
It would have been like James in 2014. It'd been like, whoa.
Yeah, no, see, if we'd have got James Rodriguez in like 2018, 2017, I'd have gone absolute blooming hell. There it is there. We got him when no one else really wanted him. But it was a big signing, but I don't think when we got him, I don't think it was one whereas like Robinho I think was about like 23, 24. James was like 30, wasn't he? It was slightly different. It's just frustrating. Jay says we've got a track record and not replacing our key players, Rooney, Lukaku, Garner, and now potentially the Richarlison.
Best mate says, by the way, Ned, you're talking crap. Most of the big money useless signings were made by Mashiri without manager consent. Well, that's what I'm saying. Other people coming in, I said the owner coming in trying to buy Zaha. That's exactly what I was saying.
Yeah, I don't think most of them. They did. Don't get me wrong. The owner did make some signings, Gylfi, things like that. He was listening to his mate. Said the El Ghazi thing was the biggest case of that, even though it wasn't money, it was a loan, and it almost, you could argue, it almost cost us our Premier League status because we lost what could have been a key player there for a fella we had no interest in. Dave Jono says Cristiano Ronaldo in talks over 120 week deal till January.
Suey.
I'd take Suey right now. Cristiano Ronaldo. Suey. Someone asked me yesterday. It was like, would you take Ronaldo? Oh, it was Adam McCall. Usually he's always got a cop on.
Oh, yeah.
It was Adam from, he's on the kick-off, Adam McCall. Good lad. United fan. He was like, would you take Ronaldo? I was like, absolutely, I'd take him. For us, he'd score goals.
If commercially, like, he pays for himself.
I'm not asked though, commercially.
If
you offered me...
If his kit sales pay his wages, then yeah.
Pay him 150 grand a week just to keep us in till January. Take him on a short-term loan, yeah.
If he comes in 50 grand a week, yeah. Maybe.
Yeah.
Wonder where we'd play, though.
The Matty Bush says, hello, the boys. Hope all's good. Really hope the new overlap went well for you, Baz. Beating Medusa's narrative about us over the head with logic. Keep fighting the good fight. Yeah, you know what? They weren't too bad, actually. I think anyway. I'd have to watch it back or let other people decide. I'd had a conversation with both Neville and Carragher off air before, and they asked me a couple of things, and so they weren't as bad as what they've been in terms of ready going for you. You know what I mean? But I think maybe because a ball hasn't been kicked, and there was less for them to go after. I imagine on the next one, judging how well or badly Everton are doing, could be more of a rocky road or an easier road.
Yeah, especially with the derby, like quite early in the season.
Derby's the derby. Derby's horrible. Forget about it. Just don't think about it. Man that says we are literally Croc FC. Yeah.
Croc FC.
Fair
enough.
Yeah.
Premiers have been quiet today, haven't they? Premier members.
It's all good.
The link is there in the description if you want to call in, guys.
Do you know? Terry says, evening chaps, good to see the DCL injury isn't as bad as first feared, but we must absolutely get ourselves in a position where he doesn't need to be rushed back. I understand understand that the club are holding on for Brozier. What do we go with, Brozier or Broya? I'm being told it's Broya.
Where's he from? Albania? Broya.
I'm not saying it like that.
Broya.
But we can't have another Kurt Zouma situation. Our Premier League status is not secure enough to take a calculated risk of not bringing in a striker who isn't the one you want. Yeah, it's a tough one, definitely. David says, I've been banging on a bit, but hear me out. Big if, but if we did have the Ritchie money, I've said that one before, David, yeah. Jay says Moise Keane is still our player. Yeah.
If you bring him back now, though, you lose that obligation, don't you? So they don't owe us money then.
Garrett says, random sports. I've been cheering along today at the Commonwealth Games. Women's heavyweight lifting and women's cross-country mountain bikes. Another 2 gold for England. Excellent.
That sounds boss.
Sounds way better.
Amazing.
Phil says, serious question, would you last Keno up front? Always seen him hitting bangers in training. Took his goal well against Palace and a better option than Rondon. No, I don't think he's mobile enough. Jay says I'd bring Islam Salami in on a short-term loan. He's available, plug the gap.
Is he the one that used to be at Leicester on loan, yeah?
Didn't really do very well. Although I think he did score against us at Goodison when we beat them 4-2, I think. Clive Long says, is it a case Chelsea are just holding out until they've played us on Saturday? Well, no, because they could give us Broya anyway, and just he couldn't play anyway, so no. I think that they're just seeing what's going for them. Garrett says one for Baz. Any bad meps at the overlap, or was everyone well behaved in Ty's absence? Also, are the ex-players approachable and sound off camera? No, Ty wasn't there. No, everyone was very nice yesterday. Everyone was very respectful of each other. And yeah, the players are sound, mate, to be fair. I know people won't want to hear that, but they are the sound. Kane says it. We either get Broya in ASAP or move on. We don't want to repeat ourselves like the Giroud situation and go into the season without a goal threat like 17-18. I hate the way we always put all of our eggs into one basket. Yeah, I think the thing, Kane, is you end up doing that when you're not well organised or you haven't got a lot of money. I think if you've got a good pot of money, you can have a couple of really good choices and you can see which one you can get done. When you're scraping around with money, you're trying to work it out the best way. I think your options get smaller and smaller, and you do almost have to go with gambling on this fella. I don't like it, like you say.
Clubs know that we're scraping around as well, don't they? Yeah. Clubs ultimately know that no matter what really goes on in the media, clubs will eventually find out that we've got no striker as well. So we'll just have to really. This is what I was saying about. We have to start looking at these options like Batshuayi now. Is like I said before, beggars can't be choosers. We're just going to have to bite the bullet and try some of these players. There's a few players available for free.
I got sent some players.
An ideal world would be going looking at these players for 30 million, but we're not in an ideal world. So.
I got sent some players who were free before.
Bolotti,
okay, right.
Bolotti,
Ederson, Cavani. Yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay. Diego Costa.
No.
Okay. Dries Mertens. Too small. Good player, but to me,
he's not a centre forward, really, is he? Played there for Napoli.
Andrea Belotti.
No. I just don't think he could do it.
Matej Vydra. He was at Burnley. No. Keita Balder.
Scored against us, though, didn't he? Couldn't tell you, to be honest.
And Artem Zuber, who's about 6'12", but not good enough. Cavani. Costa. Cavani's an interesting one.
Cavani's done something in the past couple of seasons which tells you he could still come and do a good job. Where players there's not Belotti, players like Belotti, nothing really tells me that they could come in and really make much of a difference. Having Dele there or something. Belotti was a good player in Italy. He's not big, he's not mobile, he's clinical in the box, but Cenk Tosun in a slower league like that looked good. He looked great in Turkey. Cenk Tosun in his prime might have been sound in Italy.
Belotti did play in they did come on though in the European Championship final, didn't he, against England?
He looked alright, I just don't know.
I think I've seen somewhere
free, isn't
Roma on him, don't they? So, Glenn says, Ned, which is your favourite Beyonce song? A, Drunk in Love. B, Bootylicious. C, Meticulously.
I don't like
Beyonce. No, okay. Glenn says, anyone saying we should have sold Dom would definitely close a gate after the horse bolted. Hindsight is always 20/20. Liam says, if we're bringing in someone to cover Dom, presumably it has to be someone who plays like Dom. Either Belotti or Batshuayi.
Your dad texts me saying what should each be up to.
Dennis and Cornet don't fit the bracket. Ahmed says Latzel, which is if Dom's done the Latzel, it's one of the main knee stabilisers. It's normally 2 months, and that's on the optimistic side, not a muscular injury. If it's a higher grade injury, then longer time out. We have to plan without DCL.
Does it require surgery?
I don't know. The club haven't said, have they? So.
Tell him to get some sole correctors. My knees have been better since I started using these. Maybe he should stop driving that Lamborghini around.
I don't listen. You can't make those comments, mate. Can you?
Might be a curse.
I think the thing is, he had a shot in training and he's hurt his knee. It could happen at any time. So
maybe like overextended his leg when he's shot.
Everton Vikings says Dennis actually holds the ball up pretty well because he has a low centre of gravity, good technical abilities, link up play is good, he's strong for his side, mobile. He'd be the one I'd go for right now. Fair dues. I guess it just depends on what Watford want for him, doesn't it? If Watford are open to it, and you said you've read somewhere that
that they've slashed the price.
They slashed the price down.
Their
but
season
it depends
started now, yeah.
Depends what the upfront money is, though.
He wasn't obviously in the first season. He played well on Monday, but if their season started now, they might be willing to entertain less than what their original asking price was. Especially if no one's really approached them, or have approached them and they said, well, we want 20 million for let's just say for example, and they're just going, nah, mate. They think, well, our season started now. We want to start getting players we want in. I don't even know if Dennis wants to leave. He does want to leave. He's refused to reject
Did you hear his comments the other day?
Yeah. So he's refused to rule it out. So if he wants to go, they might want to get their players in. So they might just say, just give us 10-15 million. I don't know how much they bought him for.
No, they got him for 3.4 million.
Did they?
From Bruges.
So they're getting a profit anyway, aren't they? They might just say, give us 10-15 million. If Everton have the money, if they can't and Everton's used their money to spend it on McNeil, then that's...
There's nothing we can do, is there? That's at the end of the day, there's nothing we can do.
McNeil
Football Matters says most YouTuber predictions have Everton, Fulham and Bournemouth getting relegated.
That's mad.
That's nonsense.
Everton. Someone asked me yesterday.
The three that come up will go down.
Yeah, I said that yesterday. Someone said I think it was Peter Finn said name 3 teams worse than Everton, and said the 3 teams that come up.
Absolutely.
Nottingham Forest had a team full of loanies.
Yeah. Forest, listen, I'm made up. Forest are back up.
Yeah.
The team that certainly one of the founders of the Premier League and everything.
The beginning of last season,
the boss Forest,
before Cooper came in, the bottom of the league.
They've made 12 new signings and they've lost 5 starters from their team who played last year because they were loans. Be difficult for them. It's always difficult trying to plug it. I think Southampton are in trouble this season. I think they've bought some nice young footballers, there's no doubt about that, talented players, but can they do it? They were struggling at the back end of last season. They've lost Brozier. I've seen someone say the scout, so we'll say Brozier, so we'll keep that. They've lost him.
I'm not so.
So they could be in trouble.
I think you look at Brentford last season. They tried to replace Ericsson. Whether they can, I don't think they can.
That was interesting yesterday because I think it was Gary Neville said yesterday.
They were struggling before he came in.
He said he thinks Brentford will go.
I think Brentford will go as well, or certainly be around that second. There's no such thing as second season syndrome. There might be like a psychological thing there, but they were really struggling before Ericsson came in. He came in and they started winning.
Yeah, he was fantastic. He was fantastic.
Brilliant, wasn't he? So.
Liam says, would you bring Moise Keane back? Would you bring Moise Keane back? I don't think we can. We've got an agreement with Juventus.
If they had an obligation, so Juventus have to pay the money, then Everton might have already accounted that money. So if they bring him back, they might be thinking, well, we owe someone some
Well, we
money.
probably have, yeah. Philly says I'm an Arsenal fan and here and Ty wasn't there. Fills me with joy. I can watch and enjoy this one.
Probably
Yeah, it was Robbie and Pippa. They were sound. Andrea says, how about the lap from City on loan? I don't think they're gonna let him go on loan, no, are they? I think
that Kike Crow.
Not Kike, the lap.
Oh, Rory Delap.
Rory Delap. No, not Rory Delap, the long throw. Liam Delap.
Delap.
Rory's son, isn't it? I think they'll use him this season because of the 9 subs and bringing on 5. I think Pep will integrate
Really
him.
highly rated as well, isn't he?
They've got some cracking young players, City. That Alvarez coming on and scoring last week.
Cole Palmer's going to be
Cole Palmer's another good player. They've got some
Insane.
brilliant players, City, they really have. Ahmed says the 2 Ahmeds, by the way. I think Morgan Gibbs-White is off the table. Nice to see another blue Ahmed. Adam says any news on forward, so we putting all our eggs in the brochure basket, or are we looking for 2 if budget allows, 1 to replace Richie, 1 to replace Dom. Also a lot of people mentioning the Giroud thing because that still haunts us, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It damaged us massively that season. I hope not, but it's difficult this because there's two ways you're looking at it, isn't it? You look at it and go, he's our target who we really want, so we shouldn't be pushed off from that. But then you've got the devil on your shoulder going, yeah, but if he doesn't come and you're letting these players go here, what are you going to do then?
But I'd be trying to get... See, I'd be looking at trying to get a brochure.
All right, so Everton get
anyway.
Right, listen, right, Everton look now, and Frank Lampard goes, oh my God, we're in trouble here because we've lost Dom. He's out till mid-October, let's say. Let's go on the cautious time scale. You know, Ahmed's already said if it's this type of injury, that's, you know, and I'd said to you maybe October. We've got no Dom till October. We've played about 12, 13 Premier League games by then. So he's not here. Third of the season's gone, right? We could get Batshuayi, he's available. We could get him right now, right? And in the room they go, okay, but we want Brozier. Now if you're Brozier and Everton bring in Michy Batshuayi, and then you've got Dominic Calvert-Lewin in the gym doing his rehab, and you look and go, well, hang on, am I going to play? Before I come here, am I going to play? Because you've just brought Michy in, who's older than me and he plays. Am I going to get games or am I going to be sub? Because you've also got Dwight McNeely, you've also got Damari Green, got Anthony Gordon. Where do I play? And Dominic Calvert-Lewin.
Well, ultimately that's down to him, isn't it? To prove that.
Well, no, because he could just say, well, I'll stay Chelsea, mate, and I'll get games for Chelsea in the cup, in the FA Cup, in the Champions League. Why would they come and sit on the bench at Everton?
And obviously Rondon's there as well, but
God,
to be honest, Everton are looking for matchday stewards, so if they can get a couple of strikers in and then say, Rondon, listen, there's a role for you there, might be a bit more useful to us.
Wasn't funny, mate. It was not funny.
It was
And
funny,
that's Everton's problem, isn't it? Liam says if we're bringing in someone to cover Dom, presumably it has to be someone who plays like Dom. Dennis and Corney don't fit that bracket.
Bit hard though, isn't it?
Ahmed says totally agree with Baz. Functionality is the key. We cannot be romantic. We have to be pragmatic. David says Dembele fee has been reported to be 10 million. I would bite at that. I'm not going to lie.
How old is he? 26?
26.
He's only got a year left.
I would bite at that.
He'd be a first team player as well, wouldn't he? Good enough anyway.
Garrett says...
I haven't given him another contract.
Might want to sign it, might he? He went on loan, didn't he? Didn't he go to Atletico Madrid last season? Sure he did. I don't think he pulled up any threes there, to be honest.
Why? Who've they got up front?
Don't know.
I like that.
Yeah, he went to Atletico on loan on 2021.
A few people mentioned
Played
Terry,
5 games with them, didn't score a goal.
Yeah.
He's got 53 and 106 for Leon, though.
Interesting. A few people mentioned Terry yesterday, but he's obviously 20 goal a season striker, or was last season. But
Terry. He's a wide forward, though.
Costs you a lot of money as well.
Yeah, Everton are interested in him, but they've been quoted 34 million euros for him. We haven't got that money.
How old is he?
Terry, 25.
Is he?
Trevor says, going off the statements Everton released, sounds like a ligament for Dominic. If they're not concerned it's a serious injury, that'd place you at grade 1, which means that it's unlikely other structures were injured, which would be common with lateral and would place it towards the 3-month timeline. All things considered, I'll be telling time-wise Fraser if Dom is on the grass next week or not. Oh, it'd be telling. Yeah, I'm looking at him as October. That's in my head now.
Yeah.
And if he gets back before, then I'll be absolutely delighted. Garrett says Ten Hag slagging off Ronaldo publicly for leaving early. Definitely wants out of there. Could we give him a home for the season? As if he would come here. Guys, come on. He wants the Champions League.
It's ultimately why he wants to leave United.
He wants to leave United and go and play in the Champions League. He wants to make sure he's got enough goals ahead of Messi, making sure Messi can't get his. I think he's about 14 goals ahead of Messi or something silly like that.
What, in the Champions League or Korea?
In the Champions League. And I'm sure, and Messi's playing in it this season, isn't he? And he's not. Glenn says sometimes you need to step backwards in order to move forwards faster. Nobody wants Everton to be the training ground for other clubs, but sometimes needs must, and we need a short-term solution.
Yeah,
well said.
We almost went down last season, so like players like bringing in stuff like Ghana, you're not thinking of long term. The right thing would.
I imagine he's talking about Brozier because you were saying you don't want to train people. No, well, that's the way it is.
The right thing to do is to be getting short term options while looking at long term replacements also. But yeah, right now you'd be looking to get as far away from relegation zone. I don't think we're there anyway, but be certified that will be far away as there as possible.
Peter says, how about Ivan Toney? Well, they want 40 million, 50 million for him. That's off the thing for us. Liam says, I think James was that kind of player, Baz. No, he was 30 though, Liam, wasn't he? At the end of his career. If he'd have been mid-20s, I'd have gone 100%. He was that player.
The whole season before.
Yeah, he'd had 8 games, hadn't he? Nah, I know what you mean. He was a big profile for us, but it was at the wrong time in his career, where Robinho wasn't. He was like in the middle of his career. John says, guys, first time I've been able to join the live for a long time. While I mainly listen on the podcast the next day, do us a favour, ask Ped when he's taking the mick out and Ed move back, nearly burst me eardrums. Love the work, love listening. Garrett says Onana going to West Ham, 40 million euros, so that was never happening for us. Well, they told us 35 million euros, and Everton obviously weren't paying that. West Ham weren't paying it. But I will be gutted when the West Ham fans are singing Onana, what's your name? Of course I will. Cal says, hello lads, hope all is well. Wonder if the Connie Square girl is a Premier member. She is a Blue. Is she? I don't know. I didn't even know anything about this girl until Ned and Ped enlightened me today. So, fair play if she's enjoying herself. Fair play to her.
Good marketing.
Phil says, Baz, I get your point on recruitment, but unlike West Ham, when have we ever spent close to 30 million on a striker other than Rom? 5 million Sanzo, 13 on Nias, Rondon 3. We spent circa 90 million on 3 number 10s. So all I see, Everton don't look at forwards with any importance. Yeah, it is crazy, Phil, that the position on the pitch which wins you football matches, we've made some awful decisions in choosing strikers. It's berserk. We made that when we were offered Moussa Dembele, who I'm saying we could get now, for 5 million quid, or 5.5 it was, and we took Nias at 13.5 on the same day. Dembele was there, it was at Fulham, his move had broke down to Tottenham, Everton were offered him, and we chose Nias instead.
And he was, how old was he then, like 21?
21 or something. Yeah. He went to Celtic and was good for Celtic for a few seasons, then Lyon. So yeah, it is berserk. It is berserk. But yeah, Everton Vikings says Slimani is worse than Rondon. Yeah, I thought he was terrible. Phil says, Baz, it's great that you're back. Ped brings the rage, Ned brings the comedy, but you bring the proper chat. Miss you when you're not here. Ped and Ned are a credit to all Blue Noses, but please keep up the good work. Everton Viking says, if we signed Belotti, he would score goals if we provided crosses into the box, and if he wasn't amazing, you'd sell him for an instant profit, but I think he's off to Roma. Yeah, listen, I'm not 100% against it. I'm just saying, mobile forwards is what you want, don't you? I can just imagine a situation where he's he's up there, kind of like plodding around. He's not got the pace to get away, and we're like trying to get up and support him. And generally, strikers from Italy haven't done brilliantly in the Premier League. Don't know. Liam, watch this. I've come back from the overlap in bad form. Please elaborate, because I don't know what that is. David says, what do you lads think of Mykhailo Mudryk? Think he's a massive potential. I haven't seen much of him, Mykhailo Mudryk.
I've never heard of him.
So I couldn't give you any kind of thing, mate. Any kind of thingy on him. He's a Ukrainian midfielder, yeah, winger. No, I've not seen anything of him, mate, so I couldn't tell yet one way or the other. You'd have to tell me.
Invest that piece as play Dele Alli up front. That's I
well,
imagine we got to think about now.
Will.
Like if we're just gonna go and get like a player on a free who we wouldn't have been looking at if Dominic Calvert-Lewin wasn't injured. Are we getting them just because? Well, it would be, but are they going to come in and play up front, or Lampard going to prefer Dele there anyway?
Who?
So say we go look at a Belotti or a Batshuayi, are we going to play them there anyway, or are we going to play Dele? Because I imagine if Dom was fit and we're going after Brozier, we won't be going after a Belotti as well, or maybe
no. Well, that's what I'm trying to say to you before. It's like it's all very well saying let's get, and listen, I'd love nothing more than Everton to go. We've got Batshuayi. We've signed Batshuayi. He's coming in, and then to go, we've got Brozier on loan. Be great. I'd look and go, wow, we've got Dominic Calvert-Lewin, we've got Michy Batshuayi, and we've got Armando Brozier, whatever. Brilliant. We've got real options. I'd love that, because Everton would have options, but I do not see that happening. Because if I'm Armando Brozier, and you're trying to convince me to come to Everton, but you signed Michy Batshuayi last week, and you've got Dominic Calvert, I'm looking and going, where am I playing now? And you go, well, we're gonna try and, that to me, I'd just go, no, mate, I'll go somewhere else, or I'll stay at Chelsea. So Everton have got to make a decision. Is the gamble Batshuayi now and take him, and that's it, and forget Brozier, let him stay at Chelsea or go to Newcastle or whoever, and we pull out of the race? Or do we stay on track with what we were doing before and go, well, Dom will be back October, we'll go with Brozier, we'll go with Rondon as a sub, and we'll go with obviously Gordon, Gray and whoever, and that's up to them. I don't know what they should do. I'd love Everton to have both of them and get rid of Rondon, because I think Rondon is probably the least what we need. So therefore, having Brozier and Batshuayi share the time until Dom's back, that makes sense to me. And then you'd have a choice of three, because I'd play Brozier off one of them. Do you know what I mean? But,
yeah, I would.
But
we can play as a wide forward.
But then, I don't know, mate.
Would Batshuayi be a loan or would it be a permanent?
He's out of contract next summer.
Is he?
So you'd have to probably buy him.
I was going to say, if that was a loan, Brozier would probably be a loan as well. So none of them would be able to play Saturday either. So it gives them another week to have a look at them. But
we've got no chance of getting. Neither of them can play the weekend. Everton won't have a striker in at the weekend, I imagine, unless they come up with
not starting
someone.
Anyway, so.
They come up with someone.
It'd be Dele on the weekend up front, won't it? I imagine. So.
And I imagine Dobbin and Broadhead probably will be on the bench. Just so there's forwards there who can play through the middle. And maybe that's how Everton will do it. Don't forget when we played Chelsea at Stamford Bridge last season, Sims played an hour and Dobbin played the other half an hour as the striker. And really, Dobbin had a great chance to score, and he didn't fluff his lines, but he missed it. He slipped, didn't he?
It's not his natural position, is it?
He's wide, isn't he? He's wide. So, Dan says, lads, if Garner does eventually sign, do you not think the system we play massively changes and potentially we go back to a back four? I feel like when we have the wing backs, our front three can play closer together, while if it's a four, we need to protect the flanks more.
No, because Garner's not going to play. I don't think Garner will play number 6. Garner offers a lot going forward as well. He'd be more, not a number 8, but he can play. If he can play a 2 with a back 5, back 3 behind him, he can play 2 with Decore. Both Garner's a bit better defensively, offers a lot going forward as well. So we can have that. That one stays, one goes, and the thing with Decore and Garner is they're both full of energy. They get around the pitch. Garner and Decore are both like they can do two men's jobs. So like you have Garner and Decore as your midfield two. That'd be essentially like having a midfield three in terms of energy and legs and the work they'd be doing. So, and I don't think you still, if you want to play a midfield three or a back four, then you still need that proper number 6. And I don't think we've got that. I don't think Alan's got the discipline to play there.
So you're saying Garner wouldn't play there?
I don't think he'd be sat with like an Iwobi and Decore in front of him.
That's where he will play. That's why Everton are getting him.
You think he will play a midfield three?
I think he probably wants to play midfield three. It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if they got Garner in and Everton's midfield three was Garner, Iwobi and Decore. It really wouldn't. If that, honest to God, that would not surprise me if that was his midfield three. Because the other two run for days and Garner is mobile and can do the thing.
I quite like Garner going forward though as well. He can get forward.
He's not that kind of player anymore.
He's done that for PSG though. He scored 3 goals last season. Creates chances.
Telling you now, mate. He done it. I've seen him do it once for Everton in 3 years. It's a different game, the Premier League, mate. The French League, yeah, you can break forward, and he had people who were sitting in for him. He will be tasked with with being the discipline while the other two roam. The thing what it gives you with a midfield three is if he does do that role and sit, then those other two can be changed out. So one of those two midfielders could become Dele as a midfielder, or it could become Anthony Gordon or Dwight McNeil.
Would you have Alan back in there playing in front of him, going trying to chase players?
Alan would be on the bench for me, and I really like Alan, but I just think
he's just not got the legs.
He's not got the legs now. He really hasn't.
To play the game he wants to play anyway, chasing after the ball.
See, I think Garner gives you the opportunity to put one of our others central, and that might be Dele, and it might be Dwight McNeil at times, because they mean Decore and he could come. But I think they'll use McNeil off. If in a 4-3-3, I imagine they'll use Dwight McNeil off the right, cutting in on the left foot, and it might be Anthony Gordon or Damari Gray. But then again, if they get Brozier in, and Dom's fit again in the future, he could use Brozier off. He played right and left for Southampton as well as through the middle. But Brozier, imagine if Everton could get Brozier in, and they got Garner in, and so at times there was a 4-3-3, and your front three was Gordon, Brozier, and McNeil, or Gordon, Brozier, and Gray for some games. You'd have a counter attack with loads of pace, because the three of them are dead quick. The other three midfielders then could sit, and you could have Patterson and Michalenko flying on the outside, and Everton could be very good in transition. In a 3-4-3, it's a little bit different, but it gives Everton options. Garner there's nobody like Garner in our squad. I keep hoping Gabaman's going to turn into the player he was in Mainz. I don't think it's going to happen. It's not going to happen, is it really? Unless, I hope it does, because we'd have a huge bonus there, but the fact the manager keeps talking about wanting another 2 midfielders tells me that he doesn't think it's going to happen. But there's some players I cut, and I really, really like Alan, but if anyone come in with any kind of money, I'd let him go.
I personally thought
I'd let Gomez go.
Italy this summer.
Well, it's wages and it's money, isn't it? He's in a year left or 11 months left on his deal. But there you go. Right, I'll race through these. Tom says, can't we just call him bro to the bros? Yeah, we can. Rob says, I've never ever rated Dom. Doesn't do enough for me on the pitch. I prefer a striker like Vardy. Someone with pace who can get in behind defenders and create goals for others. What about that Vardy to United? If they get rid of Ronaldo? Really? It's a bit of a mad one today. Carla says,
now,
34, yeah. Be replacing a 37-year-old with a 34-year-old.
Ronaldo's basically unlimited though, isn't he?
I'm just saying. Carla says, was tie banned from the Oval. I don't think so. Whether Robbie just said not this time, I don't know. Sol says Brozier feels like the player who'd replicate Dom the best. However, I do fear the lack of pace this side has.
Rozier's very mobile.
Well, he's different. He's mobile. He's powerful.
He plays out wide for Albania. He's good on the wing, taking plays on and stuff. He
runs with the ball, doesn't he? He runs with the ball.
He's still quite big, and his back to goal plays pretty good, but he's more of a mobile option than Dom. He's not like a massive.
Peter said, if we sold our first team, how much money do you think we'd make? I think we'd make 140 million.
Well, we'd have to.
I think we'd make more than that.
if you're selling your whole team, you'd have
like
to
Pickford and
you'd have to like
Ben Godfrey and people like this make more than that.
teams would have to overpay for selling all our best players at once. So you probably
Adam says side out Ben Rama, Benarino even is without a club. Have we got that desperate? Yeah.
Former West Brom.
Sat in the car park somewhere waiting on his phone.
Where was it where he refused to play because he couldn't get a move? Was that Stoke or was that West Brom?
It was West Brom. Oh my God, no, Stoke, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Or was it? Hang on.
It was at West Brom and then he went to Stoke.
So where was the car park situation?
I think that might have been Stoke because...
At first and then he done a thing he done as well, didn't he? Adam Wingy did it, didn't he? Peter, there is, though, isn't it? It is bad luck with Dom. Not the club have got loads to blame for. There's no doubt about that. No doubt about it. The fact we can't really spend money is poor from the club. That's the club's fault. But you cannot put Dominic Calvert-Lewin getting injured down to anything other than bad luck. You can't, mate. You can't. As much as we all want, we can want changes at the football club. Absolutely. But you can't blame Bill Kenwright for Dominic Calvert-Lewin's knee getting injured. You can blame him for a lot of other things, absolutely, but you can't blame him for Dom getting an injury, can you really? Come on. Rob says I wouldn't have Vardy's missus as a keeper. She leaks things. Fair enough. Chris says, is this an opportunity to take a gamble on someone from a different league? I don't think they would, though, Chris, at this stage. I think they're looking for more sure thing, aren't they? Which is difficult in a forward. They cost money. Lindsay says, hello lads, evening. We could get Russo in for £1 million. She'd do a better job than Rondon. Yeah, absolutely.
Or mobile.
Rob says Morelos from Rangers isn't an option. He's been injured since last season. Still injured. Stuart says, so glad you're back. Baz Ped looks like he's about to strangle Ned after time and totally ready to bang his own head against the table the other time. Peter says Stanley Mills up front. Why not?
Yeah,
he's doing. Stanley's done all right, but don't put too much pressure on him. Come on. Yeah, Rodney says recall Sims from Sunderland. No,
I wouldn't.
Let him do his. The coaches have obviously made a decision on him, so let him go and build his game up at Sunderland. Get some good goals scored there. Get some development, and then we can have a look.
I think we'll be okay. I think we'll be okay with this Dominic Calvert-Lewin situation.
We do need a forward. We need a forward.
Do, but I won't be like flapping and thinking about bringing players like Sims back. I think we'll be.
Well, what would you do then? What would you do? You're right now. You're Frank Lampard. The season kicks off in 3 days. You're playing the Champions League side at home at R5 Saturday. You haven't got much money. What do you do?
My solution for right now would be to play Dele as a false nine. And
okay, so Dele plays false nine.
Play someone on the shoulder, maybe Gray or Gordon, because they've got that pace and get in behind.
Well, Gordon, I imagine probably will.
And then you've got a month now to try and find a replacement for Dom or a good backup, which I imagine they'd be looking at anyway. And I have trust that, obviously, as our scouts and like Thelwell as professionals will find the right replacement, or at least do a better job than me sitting here saying Batshuayi or Brozier on loan will do, because I'm just a fan.
Oh, that's fair enough.
So
Tommy says you can't blame Dom, but you can blame the management. I literally just said you can blame the club for the mismanagement and for the reason why we've got no much money. I've literally just said that.
We should have.
But you can't blame them for Dom getting an injury. But I did say you can blame the fact we haven't got money to spend.
But they would have been looking for a backup for Dom anyway if he wouldn't got injured. So.
Oh, they would. But Mark says, Baz, was there any fans from the overlap more worried about the season than our fans? Leeds fans with the lad who's dead nice lad said he's really worried for them, really fearful for them.
They've lost big important players.
Yeah, he was I said Rafinha's. Yeah. Like they've got Sinister, who I think's good if he settles. They've got Tyler Adams, who's a good lad. Yeah. Aranson, the American kid on the wings, a good player.
The reason I think they'll be okay is because I think Jesse Marsh is a really good coach. He gets them very organised. So I think they'll be okay. It's squad wise.
For me.
Do you think? Yeah.
Be gone in October.
I think he's a pretty good coach. He came in last season.
I'm not saying he isn't a good coach,
He
but
got them, I know they still conceded goals.
it's
in some
difficult
games, but he got
because
them organised,
there's
so.
pressure on all of those people. Lampard, they
have lost massive. Like Phillips, and sure last season when they lost Phillips through injury, and Rafinha, massive.
You've got to keep Bamford fit.
Yeah. And last season they couldn't.
He was injured, so Leeds were terrified. The Forest lad was like, I just don't know. I'm hopeful we've spent enough, but I just don't know what we'll do. I seen a Bournemouth fan, they're just happy, I think, to be there. So they've got no expectations really. I think they probably feel they'll go down again, but you never know. Didn't speak to any Fulham fans,
I'm
but
not
they
so
probably
sure about Bournemouth.
didn't speak to Southampton fans. So no, but I mean, a few people were like, well, what do you think for your team this season? I think we'll be all right. And when we had a conversation, they were asking like what went wrong, and when I explained a few of the injuries we had, they were like, oh my God, I didn't realise. You know, and even Flav, talking to Flav for a bit about Spurs, and he was like, yeah, if we'd have lost Kane and Son, there's not a chance we'd have finished top half, let alone where we finished. And he was like, you literally lost Dom and Richie for a big portion. Not Richarlison was there. I think he ended up playing like 30 games, but he was missing for games and injured for games. And Dom,
and even games if Dom's not playing,
Mina, our best centre back. You know, a lot of teams couldn't have coped with what we lost last season, as well as the fact we were crap as well, and as well as the fact that we had Benitez, and as well as the fact that we made more errors leading to goals than any other side by about 6.
Sat time manager and
all of those stupid
only brought
things.
his replacements in on deadline day. So
but there will be clubs who, like Southampton, could go one of two ways, couldn't it? All the kids they've got could be brilliant. It could be a disaster for them. Brentford, like you said, could fall short. I know, like you said before, Gary Neville thinks Brentford are in trouble this season. So it's Leicester. Talking of Leicester losing Fofana, Maddison and Vardy, and Rodgers saying they've hardly got any money. They have to sell to bring anyone in. So there's a lot of clubs in a bit of flux.
Who's this lad?
We're in there, don't get me wrong. Like,
who's that forward that Southampton brought in, and he scored a bit of a wonder goal. He took a few players on this pre-season game. Took like 5 players on, scored a goal.
Everyone does that, mate.
Yeah.
Everyone does that pre-season, don't they? So we'll see. No one really knows, do they? We just got to do what we've got to do. Baxter Nicholas has just banged Fellaini up front. We'll be all right. What's Andy Gray doing these days? Says Gary. Iniacho and Embolo, a good shout, says Brain Rats. Yeah. Gary says we have to keep Mina. Yeah, well, we probably will now, won't we?
Probably should give him a contract, shouldn't they? I can't see them letting him.
I don't know, because maybe they just. I think maybe they just look and think.
He's only got a year left.
He's got 11 months left. Let's see if he stays fit. Imagine if Everton give him a new 2-year deal.
Yeah, and then
he got injured. You'd just be like, "What are you?"
And then
doing?
by the end of it, it'd be 29, 30, wouldn't it?
Everyone will be moaning. So maybe I seen like in the Athletic today, it says that he's someone Everton had listened to offers for. So, if someone comes in for him, who knows? John Gray says, seems Lampard is still keen on Gilmour. Not what we need, surely. It's not who I'd go for, but he's a nice, tidy footballer. And maybe if they get Garner to do that role, then he's someone who can play in there and get on the ball and pass it a bit. Maybe. John, I don't know. It's a bit contradictory, that article, though, because not article, but just one bit in it. Sorry, it's a good article, to be fair to Greg and Paddy, but there's a little bit in it where it says he wants a powerful box-to-box midfielder, but then they mention Billy Gilmour, which isn't really. Well, no, sorry, he doesn't mention that. They don't mention that. People have mentioned Billy Gilmour, but they're talking about a box-to-box midfielder as well as Garner. So that doesn't quite ring true, but we'll see. Danny says, call me dumb. You can sack a manager, no question asked, but are unable to sack a player or a CEO or a chairman. Surely if a manager is rubbish, so are the players provided to him, or people bringing them in, so why can't these failures be removed? It is mad, isn't it? Players can't be sacked. Well, they can be, but no one seems
Only
to
if
do
he
it.
like breached the contract though.
I've seen what Newcastle have done.
If you just
Newcastle.
sack a player because he's crap, that's unfair dismissal.
What about a manager?
Well,
Everything's contracts
in
though,
his
isn't it,
contract,
Dan?
it's
I
like-
don't know what the wording would be.
if
in
they
the
set a
contract.
manager goal, don't lose 10 games on the bounce, and he loses 10.
Yeah, but then everyone would
sack
would do that, wouldn't
Yeah.
they? So then managers would never come out and go, I was sacked unfairly, because they'd just go, I breached my contract. Newcastle, Dwight Gale had 3 years left on his contract apparently, and Newcastle had just paid him off and just said, see ya. They're bored, they're like, they mean business, Newcastle.
Crazy how football business works, isn't it?
No, but they mean business. Newcastle are just like, we're not messing around, no. Everton messed
50
around.
million for Madison.
Everton messed around, and that's the
Yeah.
I still wouldn't be paying 50 million for James
I
Matheson.
don't think he's all that.
Not
to be
in
honest.
any universe would I pay that for him.
I think there's better players than get
Yeah,
50
it's
million.
much better, but they want the statement signing, don't they? They want to go, look what we
they're
can
going
do.
getting one of Leicester's top lads who's a team that.
Well, it's the money, I think. I think they want to go, look how much we can splash. They're trying to build statements, aren't they? Whether he works out another thing, but
He might do well for Newcastle, but 50 million, I think you can get better for that.
it's not our thing, is it?
Got one more call there.
James says, like, the last call, but just one sec. James says, Baz, every time my girl sees me watching this, she says, be good for your dad, Hallie, repeating your shout. Good that it's stuck, is right. Right, go on. Have we got final call of the night? It's Derek. Derek, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, mate. Go on.
How you doing, guys?
All good. Well, would have been happier if Dom was all right, but hey ho, what can we do? What can we do?
So I really just wanted to talk about the links with Batshuayi, because I mean, a lot of like what I've heard and seen on the comments and stuff is like not good enough standard for Chelsea. Shouldn't be good enough for us. But I mean, our standards are going to be different than Chelsea's. Let's be
Absolutely,
honest.
yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
But like to me, I mean, we've been linked with Batshuayi for like ever. It seems.
Yeah, when he was before he went to Marseille, we were linked with him, but yeah.
But it's a guy like I know Turkey isn't the best standard, but it's a guy who scored 14 goals last year in Turkey for a good team. A few years ago, before he had an injury at Dortmund, he scored like 10 or 11 goals in 15 games. It just doesn't seem like a guy to me that if we can get him for a decent price, that it seems like at least, and I know you can't believe articles online and this and that, but if it's as cheap as they're saying or that's being suggested, I just don't see a reason why we should be kind of turning our nose at a guy that plays for the Belgian national team and has scored goals in seasons of his career. To me, it would be a good move, especially with the news about Dom kind of breaking today about how long he's going to be out. So yeah, that's kind of my 2 cents. I didn't know what you guys thought about the Batshuayi links, if you welcome them or not, but
yeah,
I think
in terms of him as a player, we're limited, aren't we, to who we can go and get. But he can come in. He's a number 9. He can score goals. You know, he's not like he's 35 or something. And because he's a number 9, he comes in. He can play up front. We can keep our shape rather than having Dele Alli who plays the false 9 and have to change things around, which I imagine they don't want to do. He's not gonna. I don't think we're gonna get anyone who can come in and score goals that you'd think Dominic Calvert-Lewin could score. But like I said before, we've got 6 games before the end of the window, and we've lost our striker. So, for me, I'd be all for it at the moment.
I think with Batshuayi, don't get me wrong, you're thinking of strikers, and he's not someone who immediately you go, let's go and get him. He's someone who I would have had in the past, Eric. I thought when Chelsea took him, you know, like I said, we were linked with him before he went to Marseille. We were linked with him when he left Marseille for Chelsea. I'd have been all over him. I wanted him, even early on at Chelsea. When I remember when Palace got him, I was thinking he probably could have done a job for us. I think he's nice and mobile. I think he's got a decent touch. But time has gone on, and he's not someone who I would have at the start of the window been saying, yeah, Everton should get him. But right now, maybe he is an option, because he probably will score goals if he creates chances for him. I remember when Carlo was here, he come off the bench for Palace and scored with about 5 minutes left at Goodison and got them a point that they didn't deserve, and it was almost like a half chance. He just took it across and smashed it into the far corner, and we don't kind of have those kind of players. So I can understand why he would now be an option. Like you say, 14 goals last season. Okay, it's Turkey, and that is a bit of a caveat, to that, but if you can put the ball in the net, you can put the ball in the net, and Everton don't have many of those in the side that can put the ball in the net. So maybe it does become an option. But let me ask you this then. If you're Frank Lampard and you've got Brozier down as your number one target, now you've lost Dominic Calvert-Lewin, you have to almost say, do we stray from what we were doing and get Batshuayi in, or do we hold our nerve and wait it out for Brozier, who's obviously got more potential, younger, strong? What do you do?
I mean, that's tough. Because I agree with you. Like, I don't think we should stray from the plan if there is, and it seems like that there's, a transfer plan, and they want specific types of players. They want younger players. And I was going to say that in my tangent before about Batshuayi. Like, there's players that I would take over him, but if he's available, I'd take him, kind of like you said as well. So, I mean, if you could get Brozier, as an example, then I would get Brozier. But Brozier's obviously going to cost more. They're going to be more prone to send him out on loan. Yeah. I would personally tend to want to bring a player in on a permanent. So, I mean, the answer to your question is yes, I'd take Brozier over Batshuayi, but I don't know if the circumstances are such where they're going to give us the option between the one or the two. Yeah.
Well, I think they want Batshuayi out, obviously. He's a player who's picking up a wage they don't intend to use, really. So they're looking for him to get out. He's got 11 months left. That's probably we're into the 10.5 month period soon, next week. So that contract's running down, so they want him gone. Brozier, I think they want to see him again in the Premier League. And I think Everton, it'd be a loan. But I think Everton are looking at that and thinking, well, we keep him, he does well, we might end up being able to buy this fella, and who knows, maybe the plan is to sell Dom next summer and Brozier then becomes the number one. I don't know. So that's a difficult one. Maybe
I was just becoming a fan when we got like Lukaku on loan for the first time and those types of things. Yeah. I mean, you could probably tell me better, but because I was just figuring out what the Premier League was like.
And you chose us, madman. You absolute madman. But yeah, go on.
So if, when we got Lukaku on loan, did a lot of fans think that he was going to stay permanently? You know what I mean? So I think that's a good point to bring up with Brozier. If we can get him here on loan, is there a possibility that we can make him a permanent and kind of repeat the Lukaku business?
Well, you see, when we got Lukaku, I think we were all desperate for a striker.
Yeah, at the time.
And obviously, he'd scored, I think he just scored something like 18 goals for West Brom the year before. So we got him. But I think everyone hoped that he'd stay. And I remember him doing an interview around Christmas time where he was like, because he likes to run his mouth, Ron, doesn't he? He's not backward in coming forward. And he was like, yeah, I might stay here. And everyone got massively excited. But in the summer when he went back, there was talk Chelsea would keep him, so everyone was down, and then obviously Everton done the thing and he come back. So, and that's what I'm saying, Everton might be able to do the groundwork with Brozier, whereas he comes in on loan, we sell the club to him and all that, and Chelsea in 12 months have a look and go, yeah, he's not quite where we want him to be, so we're happy for you to buy him now. And yet we've already done the work across the season, and we've integrated him into the team. He becomes our number one striker for the next 2, 3, 4 years, whatever, scores goals. Right now he's a gamble. He only got 6 Premier League goals for Southampton last season, got 9 altogether, so he is a gamble. But he's a young footballer, and that's where you want to go. And I just wonder if Everton would consider taking both of them off Chelsea, one on loan and one permanent.
Well, ultimately, only Everton really, and I imagine they will know where they stand with Brozier at the moment. And
of course, yeah.
So, and they'll know more than us. So they may be thinking, got no chance, get Batshuayi, or they may be thinking Chelsea might be entertaining getting both of them off the books. Obviously, they're looking at bringing in players in, so they can get 2 players out the door. Then if one of them's a permanent, one of them's a loan, then Everton might entertain it. The players might be up for it, or the players might not be up. So hopefully we can get that done as soon as possible.
And I would be open to bringing them both in.
Yeah,
I mean, I think that they're different enough where you're not bringing in the same type of player, 2 of the same player from the same team. Broja can play farther out wide.
Yeah.
He can play a little bit underneath, more of a number 9. So, I mean, I think I would be very excited if we brought both of them in, as a matter of fact.
It give us options, wouldn't it? It'd give us options, and then I imagine you'd try then to move Rondon out and see whether there's any takers for him. And then you've refreshed your striking options then as well. But that's obviously for Kevin Thelwell and Frank Lampard to decide what where it goes next, because we clearly need it, and
we'll
see what happens. We'll have to see what happens. But
all right, boys, wanted to get my first club call out of the way. But
it's right, Derek.
Get this in, so
it was a good one.
It was a good one. It certainly was. Top man.
Appreciate it.
Top man.
Thanks,
Take
guys.
care. Where are you calling from, Derek, by the way?
USA, Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. Fantastic. Listen, brilliant to have you on, Derek. Look after yourself. Speak soon, mate.
You as well. Bye, guys.
Take care. Bye.
Next one.
Bye. Right, that's done. That's us done. Thank you very much for everyone joining us. Hit that like button on the way out. We do massively appreciate it. Andrew Short says you're mad to think we pull off bring him up. No, I know. We were just talking. We were obviously. It's highly unlikely Everton would bring those 2 in. Of course, it is.
It
but
could do.
You've got to guess.
Could
well,
do.
I mean, it's highly unlikely.
You never know, though.
You can never fully say no, but I think Andrew's right. It is highly unlikely. But yeah, nice one for joining us. Like I say, hit that like button on the way out. We do appreciate it. If you want to become a Toffee TV Premium member, the link is in the description. Thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you later. Bye.